Hi, this is Shelley Stokes at Cedar Canyon Textiles, and I want to take you through the basic process of making a paint stick rubbing. A couple of secret weapons I want to talk about first. The first one is sticky spray. When we take rubbing plates out of the package, they're very slippery. You can see they're very shiny, and to be honest, if you put a piece of fabric on this and you try to work, the fabric wants to slide around. Now we can solve that problem using sticky spray. I call this stuff Post-it notes in a can. I think you can see the difference, that this one is very shiny and this one is very matte. I have two brands that I really like. One is 404 from Spray and Fix, and the other is KK2000 from Sulky. Now the advantage of the Sulky spray is that it's totally non-toxic. It also doesn't stay sticky quite as long as the 404. So always be aware of fumes when you're working with anything like a spray. And always be sure that you put paper or something down under your rubbing plates when you're going to use the spray so that you don't have sticky spray on your work surface. The second secret weapon that I have is what I call a sticky mat. This is a grip and grip from Bare Threads Designs. And the nice thing is that whatever you put on this surface stays right where you put it. It doesn't slip around. So here I've got a rubbing plate with a very uniform surface. These concentric squares are pretty close together. And here's a second one with more of an open design. This is the oak leaves from the Leaves rubbing plate set. Now I've got my sticky mat, sticky spray. I can put my piece of fabric on this and just gently press it down with my hands, and see how, my sticky spray is effectively acting like Post-it notes, keeping my fabric from slipping. All right, we have two options making rubbings. One is to work with the end of the paint stick, and the second option is to work with the side of the stick. So let's start with the end. If you're working with the end of the stick, and even though you have sticky spray, my preference is to hold the fabric down with one hand and to work in one direction away from the hand that's holding the fabric. Now, if you're going to work with the side of the stick, you have the advantage that you have this large surface area. You can lay this down on your fabric, and just in one fell swoop, you can fill in large spaces with very little work. I mean, it's actually pretty fast. Again, I like to hold the fabric and work in one direction away from the hand that's holding the fabric. Now, when you have a more open design, it gets more challenging to use the end of the stick, because your stick wants to drop down into places where you may not want it. So this is where it's really helpful to use the side of the stick. Clean that little bit of red off. So now, when I put this paint stick flat on the surface, it glides over those open areas rather than dipping down like happened with the end of the stick. I always recommend that you start with a light amount of pressure instead of heavy, because it's much easier to go back and to add paint than it is to, say, get really heavy and say, oh gosh, that's more than I wanted.